Christians are often challenged with the question, if there is a God, then why is there suffering? Why is there evil in the world? And when we get this challenge, I think our immediate response is, we want to defend God, we want to defend the religion, and we try to clumsily put together some thing about free will and et cetera, et cetera. But it occurred to me today, I thought, I don't know how an atheist would answer that question. So I thought I would make this video to ask that question for atheists who watch this channel to, explain to me in the comments, and then maybe, I could do a video responding to your comments. Assuming there's no God, how would an atheist explain the existence of evil and suffering in the world? Where does it come from? How would you explain that? I ask this question because I've always wondered about the dichotomy between what atheists profess, that there is no God, and what exists in the real world. I understand if you want to reject religion because you reject the supernatural. I get that. I understand that. But I don't understand rejecting the natural aspects of a religion when it's observable in the world. What I mean by that is, I'm not an expert on all religions. I'm not an expert on any religion, but I believe that all the world's major religions have some explanation, some system that explains the existence of evil. And for example, in Christianity, the explanation for evil is the fall of man and the fall of all creation and the disorder of all of creation that is struggling to come back into order since the fall of man. It makes logical sense. It's very well detailed in the religion. Again, I'm not speaking about the supernatural. I'm speaking about what the religion teaches in black and white, and then the observation of the world. What I see happening in the world, earthquakes, tornadoes, there's a disorder in creation. That's what the religion teaches. I see innocent people suffering. That's what the religion teaches. I see evil people doing evil actions. That's what the religion teaches. It's actually detailed that there is this moral code, and because there's this moral code actually relates to nature, and if you do X, Y, and Z, then there will be natural consequences. And I don't think that's an alarming revelation, that there are consequences to our actions, and it's certainly not a supernatural religious truth that if you steal from a person, that person is going to suffer. There's going to be an injustice done. If you hit somebody in the head, there will be suffering. But the religion explains this in a moral code that's not supernatural. So my question is, why is this rejected by atheists in lieu of something being supernatural? Why is this being rejected when it's not A, supernatural, and B, it's observable in the world? We do see people suffering because of injustice. I ask this question because I find it so ironic how we in the world absolutely break the moral code, especially religious people who are supposed to be religious. People who are supposed to be religious should be the best at following the moral code, and especially lately that is obviously not true. But I find it ironic how we in the world, we break the moral code, and then suffering follows as a result, and then our immediate response to that suffering is to turn around and blame God, to say, okay, God, you don't exist, because if you did, then this wouldn't be happening. But in the moral code, he said not to do it. We ignored him, and then we blamed it on him. The irony gets even deeper because we're challenging him to prove that he's God. And he does. He comes into our world. He takes on flesh. He comes into our material world to teach us face to face the moral code and to kind of explain to us that the moral code is really about love. And our response to his teaching is to break the moral code again, to murder him, and to inflict all of the suffering that we've been talking about on him. And while he's dying on the cross, to stand there and continue to blame him, to continue to say to him, if you really were God, then come off of that cross. You see, we're blaming all of our actions on him, instead of taking the responsibility ourselves. Instead of saying, I'm sorry, I'm going to make an attempt to try and live the moral code to the best of my ability from here forward. I know I'm speaking about religion, but I'm really not speaking about anything supernatural. I mean, as far as the moral code goes, I mean, the stealing and the lying and the murder, and I mean, these aren't supernatural things. I know that we need to get to a point where we can sit across the table from each other and talk about whether or not God exists, to talk about the supernatural. But with everything that's going on in our society right now, the way people hate each other, the way everything that happened in New York this last week and the whole thing in Washington, D.C., I don't know if we're ready to have that talk just yet. I think we need to back up and maybe just have a conversation about, stealing and lying and killing. I think we need to have that talk first. I think the distinction between the natural and the supernatural is really important. I think when we have these debates between atheists and people who have religious faith, Christians per se, but I think all religions, I think the natural and the supernatural gets all mixed up and confused and tied together, and I would like to see in these discussions, I would like to see atheists, I mean, I understand if you are not ready to accept the supernatural, I would like to see atheists take a step back and look at the religion, especially Christianity. I'm partial, but to look at the religion and see, okay, what is true, what is naturally, verifiably true in this religion, not the supernatural, but what is naturally, verifiably true in this religion that is actually good, and maybe things that I don't understand because they don't correlate to our modern culture. What is, can you explain this to me? What does this mean? What is the goodness in this ancient, outdated ritual that just doesn't seem to fit with, modern society? I would like to see that type of dialogue. I think that's the first step in kind of bridging the gap between our two sides. What is good about religion that is verifiably true? So let the dialogue start in the comments below. I look forward to reading what you had to say, and thank you for watching this video. I will see you in the next one.